The darkness underground is different. It's not like closing your eyes at night. It's absolute, complete. The kind of darkness that presses against your eyeballs, that makes you forget which way is up. Add to that the fact that you're crawling through a tunnel barely wide enough for your shoulders, breathing air that's been breathed 100 times before, and you start to understand what fear really is. Then add the knowledge that someone might be waiting around the next bend with a knife or a pistol or a punji stick, and you understand what terror is. That was my job, tunnel rat. Specialist Danny Kowalski from Pittsburgh, 22 years old when I volunteered for the tunnel rats in 1969. Polish kid, working class, grew up in a row house with 5 siblings. Joined the Army in '68 because the draft was coming anyway. Figured I'd pick my job instead of letting them pick it for me. They made me infantry. Sent me to Vietnam in January 1969, assigned to the 25th Infantry Division operating out of Cu Chi. That's where the tunnel complexes were. Miles and miles of underground passages the Viet Cong had been building since the French colonial days. Entire underground cities, hospitals, command centers, barracks, supply depots, all of it invisible from above ground. Someone had to go down there and clear them. That someone was us, the tunnel rats. We were all volunteers, had to be. Nobody got ordered into the tunnels. That was a death sentence. But they needed small guys, preferably fearless or crazy, who were willing to crawl into pitch-black underground passages where the enemy had every advantage. I was 5'6", 140 pounds, small enough to fit, claustrophobic as hell, which should have disqualified me. But I volunteered anyway, not because I was brave, because I'd seen what happened to regular infantry on patrol, ambushes, booby traps, snipers. At least in the tunnels, it was just you and the enemy, personal, direct. No artillery, no airstrikes, no random death from a mile away. Just you and darkness and whoever was waiting in it. My tunnel partner was Corporal Jimmy Chen from Sacramento. Chinese-American, 5'4", skinny as a rail. Quietest guy I'd ever met. Never talked much above ground. Underground, he was completely silent. Could move through tunnels like a ghost. "Why'd you volunteer?" I asked him once during training. He thought for a long time before answering. My uncle was Viet Cong, long time ago, during the French War. He told me stories about the tunnels, how they'd hide there, survive there, fight from there. I wanted to understand. Understand what? How someone could live in the dark that long. We trained for 2 weeks, learned to move in confined spaces, to navigate by feel, to fight in darkness. They had practice tunnels, safe ones, with lights and support. But everyone knew real tunnels weren't like that. Real tunnels had traps, had enemy soldiers, had poisonous snakes and scorpions and spiders the size of your hand, had flooding and cave-ins and gas pockets, had death waiting in the dark. Our first mission was in March 1969. Small tunnel complex discovered near Cu Chi Base. Intelligence thought it was abandoned. We were supposed to check it out, clear it if necessary. Jimmy and I went in together. I went first. That was the protocol. Smaller guy first, because if you got stuck, the guy behind you could pull you out. Pistol in one hand, flashlight in the other. Crawling on your belly through a passage maybe 2 feet high and 3 feet wide. The darkness swallowed the flashlight beam after about 6 feet. Everything beyond that was just nothing. Black. Unknown. Could be a chamber. Could be a dead end. Could be a Viet Cong soldier waiting with a knife. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it. My breathing was too loud. The tunnel smelled like earth and rot and something else. Something old. Like death had lived there so long it had soaked into the walls. We crawled 50 feet, found a junction, 3 passages branching off. I picked the middle one, kept going. Another 30 feet and I found a chamber. Small room, maybe 6 feet across. Empty. Evidence of occupation. Food wrappers. Spent shell casings. A sandal. Clear? I whispered back to Jimmy. We checked the other passages. Found more chambers. More evidence of recent use. But no people. No traps. The tunnel was abandoned, just like intelligence said. That was the easy one. They got harder. By June 1969, Jimmy and I had cleared maybe 20 tunnel complexes. Some were abandoned. Some had traps, punji stakes, scorpions in sealed jars, pressure release grenades. We learned to spot them, to move carefully, to check everything before touching anything. But we hadn't encountered enemy soldiers. Not yet. They seemed to avoid the tunnels we cleared, melting back into the jungle before we arrived. That changed on June 18th, 1970. We got called to a tunnel entrance found near Tay Ninh. Large complex, definitely active. Intelligence said it might be a command center. They wanted us to go in, gather intelligence, map the tunnel system if possible. The entrance was in the middle of a rubber plantation. Just a hole in the ground, maybe 2 feet square, covered with a wooden trap door. Could have walked past it 100 times without noticing. Our security team, 4 infantry guys, set up a perimeter. Jimmy and I checked our equipment: pistol, flashlight, knife, rope, canteen. That was it. No rifle. Too big for the tunnels. No grenades. Too dangerous in confined spaces. No radio. Didn't work underground. Just us and whatever was down there. You ready? I asked Jimmy. He nodded. Never said much before going underground. Like he was already somewhere else. Already in the dark. I went first. Down a shaft maybe 12 feet deep, using carved-out handholds. Hit the bottom, turned on my flashlight. A tunnel stretched ahead of me, slightly larger than usual. Maybe 3 feet high. Well constructed, reinforced with wood supports. Someone cared about this tunnel. That meant it was important. That meant it might be defended. Jimmy came down behind me. We moved forward. The tunnel sloped down, going deeper. Branched twice. I marked our route with chalk on the walls so we could find our way back. Standard procedure, except in active tunnels, the enemy would sometimes erase your marks or change them, get you lost in the dark until you ran out of air or water or sanity. We'd been underground maybe 10 minutes when I heard it. A sound ahead of us. Faint. Could have been water dripping. Could have been rats. Could have been breathing. I stopped. Held up my hand. Jimmy froze behind me. Listened. There it was again. Definitely breathing. Someone was ahead of us in the tunnel. Waiting. I clicked off my flashlight. Total darkness. If they had light, we'd see it. If they didn't, we were all blind together. Nothing. Just darkness and the sound of breathing. Theirs and ours and the pounding of my heart. I felt my way forward. Pistol in my right hand, left hand on the tunnel wall. Moved slowly, 6 inches at a time, barely breathing. Jimmy behind me, matching my movements. The tunnel curved slightly. I could sense a change in the air, a chamber ahead, or a widening of the passage. The breathing was closer, maybe 10 feet, maybe 5. Then light exploded in my face, blinding. A flashlight beamed directly in my eyes. I fired twice, pure instinct, deafening in the confined space. Heard someone scream. The light fell, rolled, cast crazy shadows. Return fire. A pistol, AK rounds in a pistol. The sound enormous in the tunnel. Bullets ricocheting off walls. I felt one pass so close it burned my ear. Fired again toward the muzzle flash. Silence, except for moaning. Someone hit, not dead. I crawled forward, pistol ready. Found the flashlight, picked it up. Saw a Viet Cong soldier, maybe my age, gut shot, trying to raise his pistol. I shot him again. He stopped moving. Behind him was another soldier, dead. My first shots had caught him in the chest. Clear, I managed to say. My ears were ringing. The gunpowder smoke was choking in the confined space. Jimmy crawled up beside me, looked at the bodies. We need to keep going. Map says this tunnel keeps going. Jimmy, we just had a firefight. They know we're here, which means they're either waiting deeper in or they evacuated. Either way, we need to know. He was right. That was the job. You don't turn back because it gets dangerous. You turn back when you're dead or ordered to. We stepped over the bodies, kept going. The tunnel system was huge. We'd been underground for an hour, mapped maybe a quarter mile of passages, found chambers full of supplies, rice, weapons, ammunition, a medical area with bloody bandages and medicine, a command center with maps and documents that intelligence would want, but no more people. The 2 soldiers we'd killed were the only ones we'd encountered. Like the rest, had pulled back, disappeared deeper into the complex. We should mark this for demolition and get out, I said. We've been down here too long. One more passage, Jimmy said. Map shows it connects to a larger chamber. Might be the main bunker. I should have said no. Should have insisted we leave. But I didn't. Because Jimmy was right. If there was a main bunker, we needed to find it. We moved down the passage. It sloped sharply down, deeper than we'd been yet. The air was getting bad, thin, hard to breathe. We were maybe 40 feet underground now. Could feel the weight of all that earth above us. The passage opened into a large chamber, maybe 15 feet across. Our flashlights couldn't reach the far wall, but we could see bunks, equipment, supplies. This was it, the main bunker. We moved in. I was checking a desk, papers, maps, stuff intelligence would love, when Jimmy grabbed my arm. Listen, I heard it. A hissing sound, chemical, gas. Someone had triggered a trap, was releasing something into the chamber. Out! Now, Jimmy was already moving back toward the passage. I followed, but my flashlight caught something. In the far corner of the chamber, a soldier, Viet Cong, young kid, maybe 18. He was sitting against the wall, holding a grenade, looking at us. The pin was still in, but his thumb was on the spoon. Our eyes met. In that moment, I saw everything in his face. Fear, determination, resignation. He was going to blow himself up and take us with him, or release that grenade and hope the explosion killed us and collapsed the tunnel. I could shoot him, but his death grip might release the spoon anyway. I could rush him, but I'd never make it before he let go. I could run, but Jimmy was in the passage ahead of me, and the gas was filling the chamber. The kid said something in Vietnamese. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the meaning. Get out while you can. He wasn't going to blow the grenade yet. He was giving us a chance. Why? I didn't know. Maybe because we were all just scared kids underground, doing jobs we didn't understand for reasons that didn't make sense. I backed out of the chamber. The gas was making my eyes water, my throat burn. Jimmy was already 20 feet down the passage, moving fast. I followed, crawling as fast as I could. Behind me, I heard the explosion. The tunnel shook. Dirt fell from the ceiling. I kept moving, expecting the whole thing to collapse on us. Buried alive, suffocated in the dark, but it held. We made it to the junction, then to the main passage, then to the shaft. Climbed up and out into daylight that was so bright it hurt. The security team helped us up. We were covered in dirt and sweat and blood, not ours, from the soldiers we'd killed, coughing from the gas, shaking from adrenaline and fear. Get anything good? The sergeant asked. I handed him the papers I'd grabbed from the desk. Command center, documents. 2 enemy killed in action. 1 more in the chamber that collapsed. Good intelligence haul. Successful mission. We'd done our job. But all I could think about was that kid's face, sitting there with a grenade, giving us a chance to escape, then dying alone in the dark, buried under tons of earth. Why? Why let us go? We were the enemy. We'd killed his comrades, invaded his tunnels. He could have killed us, should have killed us. Instead, he gave us a chance, and died alone. I threw up once we got back to base. Jimmy sat with me, didn't say anything. What was there to say? We kept going down. That's what tunnel rats did, mission after mission, complex after complex. The tunnels all started to blend together. The darkness was always the same. The fear was always the same. We developed a reputation, Kowalski and Chen, the tunnel rats who always came back. Who could clear any complex, no matter how deep or dangerous? They started giving us the hardest missions, the ones other teams had failed or refused. Jimmy changed, got quieter. Above ground, he barely spoke at all. Underground, he moved like he belonged there, like the darkness was his natural home. Sometimes I'd lose sight of him in the tunnels, couldn't hear him moving, and I'd panic, thinking he'd disappeared, that the tunnels had swallowed him. Then he'd be there, right behind me, silent as death. "You okay?" I asked him once in August. "I understand now," he said, "what my uncle meant about living in the dark." "What do you mean?" "You stop being afraid, stop feeling anything. The darkness becomes normal, comfortable, better than the light." That scared me more than any tunnel. We lost our first rat in September. Not my team, another tunnel rat named Billy Thompson from Oklahoma. Found him in a tunnel 3 days after he went in. Alone, his partner had panicked and left him. Billy had gotten lost, wandered for 3 days in the dark, ran out of water. They found him curled up in a chamber, dead from dehydration and fear. His partner was court-martialed, dishonorably discharged. Didn't matter. Billy was still dead. Dead alone in the dark, abandoned by the one person who was supposed to keep him safe. After that, I made a promise to Jimmy. I won't leave you, no matter what. We go in together, we come out together. He nodded. Same. October was bad. We got called to a massive tunnel complex near the Cambodian border. Intelligence said it was a major supply route, headquarters for a Viet Cong battalion. They wanted it cleared and destroyed. We went in with another tunnel rat team, 4 of us total. The complex was enormous, multiple levels, hundreds of passages, dozens of chambers. We split up to cover more ground. That was a mistake. Jimmy and I were on the 2nd level, maybe 50 feet down, when we heard gunfire above us, lots of it. The other team had run into enemy soldiers. We started moving back toward the entrance shaft, but then we heard voices, Vietnamese, coming from ahead and behind. We were surrounded. "Side passage," Jimmy whispered. We ducked into a narrow tunnel, crawled 30 feet, found a small chamber, turned off our lights, waited. Voices passed by our hiding spot, footlights bobbing in the darkness. They were searching for us. New Americans were in the tunnels, were hunting us. We stayed in that chamber for 6 hours, silent, motionless, barely breathing, listening to enemy soldiers moving through passages all around us. Sometimes close enough to hear them talking. Sometimes so close I could smell cigarette smoke. My legs cramped, my back spasmed. Had to piss so badly it hurt. But I didn't move, didn't make a sound. Just waited in the darkness while the enemy searched. Finally, the sounds faded. They'd moved on. Maybe thought we'd escaped. We waited another hour to be sure. Then crawled out of our hiding spot and made our way back to the entrance. The other tunnel rat team had made it out. 2 wounded, but alive. They'd killed 3 enemy soldiers and escaped during the confusion. We collapsed the entrance and called in airstrikes on the complex. buried it all. Whatever intelligence value it had wasn't worth going back in. My breaking point came in December 1970. Almost 2 years as a tunnel rat. Longest anyone in our unit had lasted. Most guys did 6 months and rotated out. Couldn't handle it anymore. The darkness, the fear, the claustrophobia. I couldn't either. But I kept going because Jimmy was still going. Because rats took care of rats. Because I'd made a promise. They sent us into a tunnel complex near Long Bin. Should have been routine. Intelligence said it was abandoned, possibly booby-trapped. Just check it out, map it, mark it for demolition. We went in. Standard approach. Me first, Jimmy behind. The tunnel was narrow, old, unstable. I could feel the walls closing in, feel the weight of earth above. 30 feet in, I got stuck. My equipment vest caught on a support beam. Couldn't move forward, couldn't back up. Just stuck in a tunnel 2 feet wide, 40 feet underground, unable to move. Panic hit immediately. Complete, overwhelming panic. Couldn't breathe. The tunnel was crushing me. The darkness was inside me. Was going to die here, stuck in the dark, suffocating slowly while the earth pressed down. Danny, Jimmy's voice behind me, calm, steady. You're okay. I'm here. We're going to get you out. Can't move. I know, don't move. Let me work. He crawled up behind me. Somehow found space where there wasn't any. Reached around me, found the catch on my vest that was hung up. Worked it free, pushed me forward gently. There. You're free. Keep moving. I'm right behind you. I crawled forward. Couldn't stop shaking. Couldn't control my breathing. Was having a full panic attack in a tunnel underground and couldn't stop. We made it to a chamber. I collapsed, gasping, crying, completely losing it. Jimmy sat beside me. Didn't say anything, just sat there in the darkness while I broke down. I can't do this anymore, I finally managed. I'm done. I'm fucking done. Okay. I'm sorry. I know I said I wouldn't leave you, but I can't. The darkness, it's inside me now. I can't get it out. It's okay, Danny. You lasted longer than anyone. Almost 2 years. That's enough. We finished that mission. Had to. Couldn't leave a tunnel partially cleared. But when we got back to base, I went straight to the CO, requested transfer. Any job, anywhere, as long as it wasn't underground. The CO was understanding. You did good work, Kowalski. Best tunnel rat we had. Nobody's going to think less of you for stopping. I thought less of me. Because Jimmy was still going. Still crawling into the dark. Still doing the job. And I was leaving him to do it alone. I transferred to a regular infantry unit in January 1971. Finished my tour doing perimeter security, patrols, normal grunt work. Rotated home in June 1971. 2.5 years in Vietnam. Almost 2 years as a tunnel rat. Jimmy stayed, kept going into the tunnels. We wrote a few times. His letters got shorter, darker, like the tunnels were consuming him from inside. His last letter came in October 1971. 3 sentences. The dark is everywhere now. I can't see light anymore. Tell my family I'm sorry. He died in November. Officially, it was combat-related. Enemy action in a tunnel complex near Cu Chi. But his partner told me the truth when he got home. Jimmy had crawled into a tunnel alone, unauthorized during his off-duty time. They found him 3 days later in a collapsed chamber. No enemy soldiers, no booby traps. Just Jimmy sitting in the dark, dead from suffocation when the chamber collapsed. The report said accidental death. I knew better. Jimmy had gone looking for the darkness one last time, and it had finally kept him. I came home to Pittsburgh in June 1971. My family threw a party. Everyone wanted to hear about Vietnam. about my service, about what I'd done. I couldn't tell them. How do you explain crawling through tunnels with enemy soldiers hunting you? How do you describe living in darkness so complete it becomes part of you? How do you admit that your best friend died because the tunnels consumed him? I did my job, I told them. Glad to be home. But I wasn't home. Not really. Because part of me was still underground, still in the darkness, still crawling through tunnels that never ended. I couldn't sleep with the lights off. Still can't. The darkness triggers panic attacks. Makes me feel like I'm back in the tunnels. Stuck. Suffocating. Trapped. Couldn't work in basements or windowless rooms. Couldn't ride elevators. Any enclosed space would trigger it. The claustrophobia, the panic, the certainty that the walls were closing in and I was going to die trapped and alone. Tried therapy. The VA gave me pills. Neither helped much. How do you treat someone whose trauma is darkness itself? How do you cure someone who spent 2 years crawling through hell and can't forget what it felt like? I got a job working construction. Outdoor work, lots of light, lots of space. But sometimes I'd walk past a basement entrance or a storm drain and I'd freeze. Just stop. Stare at that hole in the ground. Feel the pull of it, the darkness calling. Other tunnel rats understood. I'd meet them sometimes at VFW halls or veteran groups. We'd recognize each other without speaking. That look, that knowledge. We'd drink together, maybe share a few stories about the tunnels. But mostly, we'd just sit in well-lit rooms and try not to think about the darkness. One guy I met, Carlos Rodriguez from Texas, had been a tunnel rat for 8 months. He couldn't stop talking about it. The tunnels, the fear, the enemy soldiers he'd killed underground, the rats and snakes and the feeling of earth pressing down. You ever think about going back? He asked me once. Just to see if you could still do it? Every day, I admitted. But I won't, because if I went back down, I might not come back up. Carlos went back. Visited Vietnam as a tourist in 1985. Toured the Cu Chi tunnels they'd preserved as a historical site. Went down into one of the demonstration tunnels. Had a massive panic attack. Heart attack while underground. Died there. In the darkness, he couldn't escape. It's 1985 now. 15 years since I left the tunnel rats. 15 years since I crawled out of my last tunnel. 15 years of living in the light and being terrified of the dark. I'm 47 years old. Never married. Couldn't imagine bringing someone into my fucked up world. No kids, no real relationships. Just work and VA appointments and nights spent in well-lit rooms, trying to sleep with every light on. Jimmy Chen died 14 years ago, consumed by the darkness he'd tried to understand. Billy Thompson died in the tunnels, abandoned and alone. Carlos Rodriguez died in those same tunnels, couldn't escape them even in peacetime. And me? I'm still here, still breathing, still carrying the darkness inside me, even though I'm surrounded by light. Because here's the truth about being a tunnel rat. You never really leave the tunnels. They stay with you, in your head, in your dreams, in every dark space and enclosed room and moment when the lights go out. You learn that darkness isn't just the absence of light. It's a thing, a presence, a weight. It gets inside you, changes you, makes you into something that can't fully exist in the normal world anymore. People thank me for my service sometimes. Say I was brave. Say I did my duty. I wasn't brave. I was terrified every single time I went underground. Every crawl through every tunnel was an exercise in controlled panic. The only thing that kept me going was Jimmy and the knowledge that rats don't leave rats behind. Until I did. until I couldn't take it anymore and left him to face the darkness alone. And the darkness killed him. That's what I carry. Not pride, not honor. Just guilt and darkness and the knowledge that I survived by abandoning my partner. That Jimmy died because I wasn't there. The tunnels took everything, my sanity, my ability to feel safe in enclosed spaces, my best friend, my belief that I was someone who kept his promises. 2 years underground, 15 years above ground, and I'm still in those tunnels, still crawling, still feeling the darkness press in, still hearing Jimmy's voice behind me, calm and steady, keeping me sane. Still breaking the promise I made to him. We go in together, we come out together. He never came out. And the part of me that stayed with him, the part that died in those tunnels alongside him, it never came out either. The darkness underground is different. It's absolute, complete, consuming. And once it gets inside you, it never leaves. Never.